Look at that line waiting for coffee. That's what people are spending their money on. Coffee. You know, you could make a coffee that tastes twice as good at your house for only 30 cents a day. You could make a coffee if you just spend a little time and figure out exactly the perfect ingredients you love in your coffee, kind of like a tea. Become a coffee connoisseur. Your perfect coffee. There's no place on earth that makes your perfect coffee because you don't even know what it is yet. And then you could have the stuff at home and a special cup for yourself. And then you could make your coffee for 30 cents a day. $0.30 a day. But nobody does. I mean, less than 5% of people will do it. That little girl wanted to pet that dog. How cute. She's like, I want to pet the dog. That's good. For 30 cents a day, and it would be something you enjoyed more. Now, it might take you $100 to figure out which is your best coffee, which is your best cream, which is your best everything. You never have to tip anyone. So instead of $5 a day, you spend 30 cents a day. And you get more coffee, a better product, something you like and more, something you enjoy more. You don't have to wait in line. You don't have to pull out money. You make it at home and just walk out to your car and your coffee is with you. So I don't know why people don't do it. You know, back in the day, people used to do it. When I was growing up, everybody made their own coffee. There were no coffee shops. There was only truck stops and diners. And you might get a crappy black and white coffee to go. I mean, I got you all beat. I gave up coffee permanently. I don't drink it. I drink water now. Yep. I completely gave up drinking coffee. So I save $5 a day. I used to get my gas and run into get the coffee. I stopped. I completely stopped. No more coffee. I've not had coffee in about 9 months. That's right.
No, he's over there selling his back.
But if you enjoy coffee, why would you not give yourself a better product for 8% of what it costs now? You see, a lot of people, in human nature, it's kind of like smoking. I know people who they don't enjoy smoking, but they're just so used to it, they just keep doing it. There's a lot of things that you've trained yourself to do, and you don't even enjoy it. You just keep doing it because it's what you've been doing. Like you go down, you wait in line to get your coffee. You're like a robot. Just do the same thing every day, every day, every day. But what I'm telling you is you can take this coffee lesson, you can examine every single area of your life. What's your favorite healthy food? Now that we've solved the coffee issue, what's your favorite healthy food? Food that's 100% healthy and you love it, it's your favorite food. And no matter how much you ate, you'd always be healthy. Well, then how come you don't eat that every day? If it's your favorite and it's 100% healthy, you say, well, I like to go out to eat with my friends. I like variety. I don't like cooking all the time. See, those are issues that completely control everything about you. But if you could have your favorite coffee every day and your for 30 cents and your favorite food every day for like $8, think about how much money you would save. And now you double the savings in your savings account. You're more satisfied with your food and you're more satisfied with your coffee. And look, those people are still waiting in line. And I went all the way. I've been gone, the video's at 8.5 minutes and they're still waiting. That's what I say about people. You're not broke, you're just lazy. And I don't mean working more, no. I mean taking steps to improve your life and save more and have more higher quality in your life. Like you don't need a brand new car payment, no. What you need is a paid-off $5,000 car that'll go anywhere you want to go. And you have no payments. You don't need a 3-bedroom house with a $2,000 a month house payment at age 30. You just don't need that. You can live in a $1,200 a month 2-bedroom apartment until you're 40 years old and save the extra $800 a month and plus all the expenses your house would have cost you. You can save an extra $1,000 a month until you're 40 years old. Then if you want a house, you can just go pay cash for it. Because you save $12,000 a year, at like 7% interest at a good growth mutual fund or something, the stock market, whatever you do, from age 20 to 40, you have like $700,000 in the bank. You could buy any $300,000 house you wanted to for cash. And still have $400,000 left in the bank. Well, you can do the same thing with your coffee. If you save $4 a day in your coffee, that's $120 a month. Let's just call it $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year. In a good investment over 20 years, you can have like $35,000 extra dollars for drinking the better coffee at your house and taking it with you. As I say, you're not broke, you're not poor, but you're lazy when it comes to change. So if you save $800 a month by not having a house, $100 a month coffee, $300 a month by cooking at home, now you're at $1,200 a month. And instead of a $400 a month car payment, you pay cash, so you don't have a $400 car payment. So now you're up to $1,500, $1,600 a month that you can save if you just change those 4 things I told you in your life. Just change those 4 things, and you got $1,400, let's say $1,500 a month extra, $18,000 a year extra. Now, the way you do this is you track every dime you spend, and then you start figuring out where you can save. You say, wow, I spent $900 on food last month. That's crazy. I had a friend tell me recently he spent $700 a month on food for him and his wife and daughter. I said, that's not true. He says, no, it's right here on my Fred Meyer receipt. I got 700 points for gas. I said, yeah, but what about all the food you go out to eat with? And what about your lunches at work? Man, I love this guy. He's a great guy. He said, well, yeah, I was just talking about the food that we bring home to the house. He said, if you add the eating out and everything else, it's probably like $1,300 a month total. I said, well, then you're spending $1,300 on food. Don't tell yourself you're spending $700 on food when it's not, when it's a lie. And he stopped. His brain clicked on. He said, I'm so glad you said that because I never even really looked at it that way. He said, oh my gosh, am I spending almost $1,400 a month on food? For one child, a wife, and myself? He said, I could be saving like $400 a month. And he's got 3 years to retirement. So I told him, yes, that's why I'm telling you, because you're my friend. I love you. You could save $400 a month, $5,000 a year for 3 years. You could have $15,000, $16,000 in the bank that you were just going to throw away on food. And it's just like his brain just went off like, wow. And that's what I said, like the coffee. People say, oh, I don't spend that much on coffee. Yes, if you do what I said and start making it at home, I don't care if you're 19 years old or 69 years old, you will start saving $4 a day, $1,200 a month. No, $120 a month. $1,200 to $1,400 a year. In over 20 years, you saved $25,000. And when you tell people that, they go, wow. So that's why I'm going to be broke when I'm retired. I say, yes, that's why you're going to be broke. And the other person's going to have $50,000 more than you have, but you will be broke. And a younger person says, oh, wow, okay. That's how it works. Say, yes, that's how it works. It's not how much you save in your lifetime. It's how much you save every month. Month after month after month. It's how much you save every month for 30 months or for 30 years. 12 times 30 years is 360 months. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. If I saved $100 a month for 350 months, I'd have $35,000. If I save $200 a month, I'd have $70,000. That's without interest, no interest. If I save $300 a month for 30 years, you get $90,000. And here's the good news. I never told you to give anything up. You can still have better coffee, which is cheaper. You can still have better food, which is cheaper at home. You can still have a car to go from point A to point B, paid for in cash. You have no payments. It's cheaper. I mean, you might think that other people care what kind of car you drive. You might think that when you're driving, your Mustang across town, you're like, yeah, I look good. I look real good with these Dollar Tree sunglasses. I look fantastic. You might think that other people care one way or another, give a damn what you look like in your car. But guess what? They don't. Once you get out of the car and start walking towards them, they don't care one way or another about your car. Nobody sits around and gossips about your car. They gossip about you and each other, and you gossip about them. So you might look fantastic in the car at $600 a month. At $600 a month. But once you get out of the car, then you're just yourself. You know, you should work on improving yourself. And a car doesn't do that, you see. A car does not do that. A car's not going to make you look better. It's not going to make you feel better. It's not going to make you act better. But it is going to make you have less money. It's going to make you poorer. A lot poorer. You know, if you buy a $300,000 house today at 7% interest or 6% interest, do you know the first year you have to give the bank $18,000 cash for the loan? That is freaking flippin' ridiculous. You have to give the bank $18,000 in interest only year one. And none of you don't get anything off the principal, off the principal loan. Nothing comes off the $300,000. So if you pay $24,000, $2,000 a month, you get $6,000 off your loan the first year. And people go, "How come my loan only went down $6,000?" Because you only paid $6,000 on principal and $18,000 on interest. Interest only. And then the second year, you have to pay that 6% on $294,000. So instead of $18,000 interest, now it's going to be like $16,000 interest. The second year, you have to pay $16,000 in interest on your loan. And then you get another $6,000 off your balance. Or it'd be closer to like $6,800 because if your payments are the same. When you tell young people that, some of it, I'd say about 50% of them don't understand how the loan works. So when you tell young people, the first 10 years of your loan, you're going to pay close to $80,000 in interest only. And they almost fall over. They're like, "What?" Now, the bank is not taking any risk. They say, "Well, we charge this because we're taking all the risk here, buddy." No, that's not true. A house is no risk. The house will always be there. They force you to have insurance on the house because you have a loan. Even if your house burned to the ground, they'd get all their money back. The bank knows the best loan they want to loan is a home loan. $300,000, 25 years, 30 years, 6% interest. Go loan out 1,000 home loans in your area. You're making tens of millions of dollars a year just in profit off the interest only. And by the way, they just did a survey of every billionaire in America. Every billionaire in America, I think there's almost 1,200 of them now, which is not that many actually. They all made their money in banking, finance, home mortgages, or the tech industry. %70 of billionaires, they made their money those three ways. Nothing else. Very interesting. I thought it was very interesting. So you're getting a mortgage, then you're getting a car payment, then you got credit cards, and now you're buying your coffee from someone else. You know, they pay 50 cents to make that coffee and they sell it to you for $4.50 or $5. They make it for 50 cents. And then you don't cook at home. You refuse to cook at home, so you're getting bad processed foods. And you're spending double what it would cost you to just cook the meal at your house, and it would taste better the way you like it to taste. So I think I'll end this video. It's very interesting subject how people aren't poor. You bring home $40,000 a year, $50,000, $60,000. Some of you bring home $90,000 a year, even in a small town like this. Then why are you broke? Even like you go down and buy an ATV or a motorcycle brand new. You could have just waited 3 months and bought the exact same ATV or the exact same motorcycle online with only about 5,000 or 8,000 miles on it. And you could have bought it for 40% less money. There's some professional homeless people. They're professionals. I'm not kidding. They're total professionals. Now, there's a lot of homeless people in every town in America, but those people, they live in like an $80,000 van, and they dress down and they stand on the corner and people give them money, and then they go like to the next town like Coos Bay, and then they'll go to the next town like over to Eugene, Oregon, then they'll go to the next town like Salem, Oregon. And they make a lot of money doing that, and they don't have to work. And when they get back in their van, they put on nice clothes. It's a true story. I've seen them do it personally. I'll tell you a funny story about life, and then I'm going to go into Fred Meyer and buy my groceries and take them home and cook them. And so I was working at a place here in town like 10 years ago, and every single year, now I guess it was about 14 years ago now, every year this hippie, this was before it was popular, this hippie dude, he looked like, I mean, he was a genuine 50-year-old hippie from Southern California. And he had a bus. I mean, like, this thing was hippied out bus. This was a big hippie bus. And he had, and I am not making this up, he had 3 wives. And like 7 children on the bus. You think I'm making this up? I'm not making this up. So he'd come to the, he took the same route every year. He would go all the way up to somewhere in Canada and around. This was before marijuana was legal or anything. He was growing marijuana on the bus. Now it's legal. He probably owns a marijuana shop somewhere in California now. And this guy, he would stop in where I was working every year for about a week. He would stay in this area for about a week. He was up in Canada during the summer. He'd come down through Washington. It'd take him 3 months to go from Canada back down to San Diego. And this guy was like, hey, right on, dude. Hey, man, I remember you. You're still working here. Right on, bro. And he'd try to give you five and slapping high fives. And he's the nicest guy in the world. And he told me, these are my 3 wives. He said, we're not legally married on paper, but we're married in our hearts, and we've been married a long time. He says, this is my first wife, and he was introducing them to me. He had 3 wives and 7 children living on the bus. They never begged for money. No, he did not beg for money. He had money. And then his wives, when they would go places, the wives would go out and work. I don't know. He was like a mini King Solomon. And it was perfect. He would take care of the kids all day and take care of the bus and take care of the finances and all the cooking and everything. And his wives would just work like 30 hours a week each. They always had tons of money. He saved 50% of everything he had. I mean, at first I didn't believe him. And one of his wives said, what's wrong with that? I said, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I couldn't do it. And she says, why couldn't you do it? I says, being married to 3 women sounds like a total nightmare. And the guy started laughing and laughing and laughing. He said, boy, you took the words out of my mouth. Now, you think that's weird, but you look at Elon Musk. He pays women to have one of his children. So it's basically the same thing. Elon Musk is not legally married to them, but he's got like 8 different baby mamas, and he pays them and gives them like $1 million a year to take care of each child. Which totally sounds like a nightmare to me. But he likes children, just like this guy. He found 3 women to live with him for the rest of his life and the children. And he was not manipulative. No. He was just a fun guy, and women liked him. And I guess that's the end of the story, but I thought it was funny that... And so I have not seen that guy come through the Oregon coast in like 10 years. Well, then we had the COVID and then the inflation. I don't know what he's doing. He was about 10 years older than me. So maybe he was more like 57 years old. And all his children were like, his youngest one was still like 8 years old. So they were older, getting older. And that's what this guy would do every year. Go up to Canada with his 3 wives and his kids. And, you know, they had it worked out to where the 3 wives would make like probably $70,000 total a year. And if you know what you're doing, the guy, and he was putting 35,000 of that in investments and living on the other 35 on a bus, and they were totally, they loved it. They were happy. They thought it was fantastic. So I think about all these different options in life. But the majority of people today, they're like, I cannot make my own coffee. I must give someone $5 every day for the rest of my life for coffee. Even if I don't like the coffee, I am a coffee robot. You get my point. You could change your entire life if you have a plan to change it. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. But I think about that guy on the bus driving around. Well, he's probably settled in now, and all his kids are... So his youngest kid would be over 18 now. And they're all out on their own. I bet you that guy, I bet you he'll have 50 grandchildren one day. I bet he'll have 50 grandchildren. And he was pulling like a Volkswagen bus behind his bus on a trailer. I mean, this guy had like a $150,000 setup. It was like a really long, one of those long, like 40-foot buses. And then he had like a 15-foot open flatbed trailer. And then he had a newer type Volkswagen bus that would seat his whole family in it when they were somewhere they'd drive around. That's incredible. I'm not saying I want to do it, no. I think it sounds crazy, but this guy will have more money at his retirement than you will. Because he doesn't pay people. He doesn't pay to get coffee. He doesn't pay to get his food. He doesn't pay other people to do something that he could do or one of his wives could do. And you think, well, that sounds crazy. No, you go to southern Utah, and some of those guys got 5, 6, 7 wives. Down there in that real strict Mormon sect down in southwestern Utah. You go in that town, they're all friendly. They won't really talk to you, but a lot of those guys got 4, 5, 6, 7 wives. And they live in a whole different world called southwestern Utah. And they make it work, and it's all fine. It's all, everything, that's what they do. So if you would change like your coffee, the way you eat at home, no car payments, no house payment until you're like 45, but then you could just pay cash if you do it like I said. You know, there's a book you can look up about these guys. They used to go to the Oregon hippie fair down in Veneta every year. And they had these trucks, and they made what they call tree houses on the back of their trucks out of wood. And they did everything themselves. And they weren't really hippies. They were more like hippie, but with really high-skilled hippies with like really high skills in carpentry. They would build an entire house like on the back of a flatbed truck. I've seen them come through Florence many times. And they wrote a book of photographs about it. And they live 100% of the time on the road. And there's not just one of them. There's 2 or 3 dozen of them in this group. And I'm sure they're still doing it. And they get like a big, huge diesel truck, like an old, like 1960 Ford 450, like work truck back then. They beef it up, the suspension and everything. They do everything themselves, overhaul the engine, and put a big, huge wooden house on the back. And I saw a guy right at the Fred Meyer once in one of those things getting gas. He had a wife and like 5 children. And that's what they lived in. And the wooden thing, it was like 28 foot long. It was like a whole miniature house, which is funny because now the younger generation is looking to move into miniature houses, tiny houses. They don't want to buy these houses anymore. That's why baby boomers are having trouble selling the houses. Because the young people don't want them. And I think it's ironic that these people 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they started this movement and almost nobody really knows about them. The average person, they just goes to the store, gets their barbecued ribs, gets their beer, goes to their doctor's appointments, watches TV, doesn't really do much of anything. There's a whole world out there just waiting for you. Now, you see on this channel, I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus Christ. But I like to observe when you see people doing really wild things. I know a guy here living 10 miles south of town. I'm not going to say where. He's been in the same spot for 3 to 4 months now. Right a little corner on a lake. And he's been there for almost 4 months, rent-free, in a trailer with a truck, pulling a trailer, and a dog, a single guy, and not one person's told him to move. He doesn't bother anybody. He is on, like, forestry land, but nobody says a word to him. And he's been out there, retired on his Social Security for 4 months, just sitting next to this little lake. And if they come down and tell him to leave, he'll say, okay. He'll start his truck and drive away and go somewhere else. He's been living there for 4 months, not moving. He's been living on like $100 a week, $400 a month, and he's fishing for some of his food, and he goes on adventures in the woods. And he gets Social Security, so he saves about $800 a month. So imagine if you could save $800 a month by going camping and living your dreams. And he also has a wooden canoe that he made. And him and his dog jump in it, and he paddles out to the little lake there. He paddles on out there and completely enjoys, the sunsets with his dog just sitting there floating around. But I'm telling you, this, I'm going to end with this right here. I guarantee this guy makes his own coffee. Now, you think about that. You're paying to have your coffee made. That's why you have to go to town and live in town. This guy makes his own coffee. And he lives in a camper and does anything he wants. And he doesn't have to leave his dog home alone all day. His dog's with him 24/7. Because he makes his own coffee for 50 cents a day.